I found an interesting comment on a YouTube video and I want to address it, because this comment represents what a lot of bigots tend to say. It's usually made by someone that doesn't know anything about LGBTQ people and tries to come to a conclusion based on old tropes and stereotypes, to try and justify that being LGBTQ is a choice, you know, because we all hate ourselves. Ciao everybody, I'm your big bro Kanetsu. And welcome back to another Monologue Thursday. In this episode I want to debunk that being LGBTQ is a choice. But let's read the comment I was talking about. I know I'm going to get so much backlash, but hear me out. If you did something and were proud of it, why would you fight so hard to say it wasn't a choice? Who you want to be with and have sex with is your choice regardless of what you want to say, because it is totally possible to abstain from sex and relationships. Also, heterosexuality is a lifestyle. Furthermore, no one is born LGBTQ. It is a result of your surrounding. Personally, I believe based on my observation that most, if not all, LGBTQ people transition because of peer pressure, trauma, breakup, disorder, abuse, but anyone is free to prove me wrong. But as far as I have seen, there is not a single LGBTQ person I have seen or met that had not gone through one of those situations before transitioning. I would also like to say that I don't care what people do with their lives as long as I'm not included. I just wanted to give my 2 cents. There is a lot to unpack here and I will break it down piece by piece. Let's start with,
I know I'm going to get so much backlash, but hear me out.
So the reason why you will get backlash for saying something like this is because you're saying things that we keep on hearing over and over and over and over and over and over, and it gets tiring. Imagine that every time a new guy shows up with the same theory of the guy before you, and you think you have discovered the truth. Our patience has a limit when we hear the same bullshit from the people that know nothing about us. But let's move on to the next part of the comments before I lose my patience.
If you did something and were proud of it, why would you fight so hard to say it wasn't a choice?
When people say that what we do is a choice, it's usually because they don't want us to do it, so they can dismiss our emotions to a mere choice and imply that it's reversible. I would also know when these people have chosen in their lifetime to be straight, because that doesn't happen. If you are lucky to fit in the system, you will never go through a process of questioning or self-doubt, thinking that we can be rejected by our families or friends because of our so-called choice. A choice that we don't have control over, just to make happy people that have a problem with us, because they want us to feel bad by making us believe that we choose this, so they can hide their bigotry. They don't attack us, but what we do. But if we can't do what we want, then who are we? You know, when we talk about pride, it's not the pride in our sexual lives. It's the pride in being ourselves in a world that is always against us. Sex is not the problem here. That has always been done. And if you see the LGBTQ as people that just want freedom in their sexuality, you forget that we are more than that. We have relationships, friendships, culture, and emotion that we don't want to hide from the world. The world that tries so hard to keep us in the dark by telling us all sorts of things. So we don't fight for a choice, but to be who we are. And even if that was a choice and someone wants to choose to live like this, what's the problem with that? Why do you hate this choice so much? If you have a problem with this so-called choice, it's probably because you don't approve it. And that's probably for some kind of prejudice that you have. A problem that you try to fix by erasing queer existence. Anyway, I find the next phrase quite silly, but let's talk about it.
Who you want to be with and have sex with is your choice, regardless of what you want to say, because it is totally possible to abstain from sex and relationships.
This is one of the usual arguments that the church presents. You can be gay as long as you don't act on it. Forcing celibacy on LGBTQ people. Why? Even if it's possible to abstain, but are people happy about it? Why would you want to abstain from happiness? Relationships are very important for humans. Most want one. People are desperate to have one. No one wants to abstain from it, but forcing people to abstain for whatever reasons sounds normal to you? Only straights can do it because they can more easily reproduce? Is it because someone decided our lifestyle is not normal? And this ties nicely with the next part.
Also, heterosexuality is a lifestyle.
But heterosexuality is forced on people. From the moment they assign your gender at birth, people have already placed an expectation on your life. And this is hardly talked about. We don't hear saying how much that forced lifestyle traumatized people. Just like forced gender stereotypes. Don't do that because only girls act like that. Man up, you're a boy. Stuff like that keeps you in a tiny box that might make your life miserable.
Furthermore, no one is born LGBTQ. It is a result of your surrounding.
So most people say this with an implication that we are a problem that can be fixed. But still, if all the surroundings were pointing to a straight world, how is it that we are queer if we are not born like this? But I would argue that we are all born LGBTQ and forced to be heterosexuals. It just happens that a lot of people can fit in that box.
Personally, I believe based on my observation, that most if not all LGBTQ people transitioned because of peer pressure, trauma, breakup, disorder, abuse. But anyone is free to prove me wrong. But as far as I have seen, there is not a single LGBTQ person I have seen or met that had not gone through one of those situations before transitioning.
Okay, let's call out the bullshit first. You're telling me that in your limited observation you can claim that all LGBTQ people around the world are like that? You also know that you can be peer pressured to be straight? Maybe even more so than the other way around. Trauma, breakup, disorder and abuse can happen to straight people too, and they don't become queer. I will tell you that I agree that it's easier for queer people to experience those problems. But isn't it maybe because they are LGBTQ and get traumatized for it? LGBTQ people grows up in an environment that keeps on telling them that they are wrong and abominations. They grow up traumatized by society. And because of that, it is easier for them to end up in abusive situations. And that happens because they are queer. Not the other way around, without counting all the queer people that never went through traumatic events. But then again, blaming trauma and such, it is easier than blaming a social problem, because you might be part of that problem too. If you think like the person that writes these comments, you are a bigot. Don't take it as an offense. Unfortunately, the term gets thrown in people's face as an insult. And that's not helping, because no one wants to be wrong or called names. But bigot simply means
one who is strongly partial to one's own group, religion, race, or politics and is intolerant of those who differ.
It's not an insult, even if most people think that it's a synonymous to ignorant or stupid. But if you firmly believe that being queer is a result of mental illness or a choice, you are a bigot, because you don't accept people that are not like you. Even if we are all different, we are still the same. We are all human the same way. And now the last part of the comment.
I would also like to say that I don't care what people do with their lives, as long as I'm not included. I just wanted to give my 2 cents.
I really hate when people say that they don't care about something they comment on. But you do care since you don't want to be included. Included in what? I can guess you don't want queer people to be part of your life, or maybe you don't want to see them in the streets. It's really hard to tell, but there is this misconception that we want to be part of your life. We want to be respected and have the same rights. But we don't need to be friends for that. And for last, just keep your 2 cents for yourself if you don't have anything new to say. Let me know in the comments what you think about the choice. I want to know what you think about it. Remember to leave a like and subscribe if you like me. And thank you so much for watching, and remember that I'm proud of you and I believe in you, and I'll see you in the next video.